Shields in Diablo 2 are an interesting group of items, since while the vast majority of builds will use them, sadly most players will end up just using a very short list because generally the same 3 shields show up in most build guides. But as you move into more specialist builds or even strange ones, this opens up a whole array of interesting and powerful options that your average player may not have thought of or used at some point. Though starting out, I want to give a handful of honorable mentions with +1 skillers of Splendor, Steel Clash, and Saigon, since they have great roles in the early game or niche roles for the mid to late game. This is in spite of Steel Clash being Paladin specific on the plus skills, since all 3 hit well above their weight and rarity for their uses. The other honorable mentions are some specialist shields, with Tiamat's Rebuke for solid elemental damage for dealing with physical immunes, along with some good resists, Gurki's Sanctuary for its use in damage mitigation builds, Whitston's Guard for doing its best to make you block like a paladin, Griswold's Honor for being a flexible 3-socket decent damage paladin shield with good guaranteed stats, and Lance Guard for being a great shield for pre-2.4 Bladesons, and a number of niche builds that cannot deal with getting interrupted by Firestorm very easily. Though with patch 2.4, that issue will be gone, relegating Lance Guard to collecting a bit of dust. As we move into the cream of the crop though, we of course need to cover class-specific shields, starting with the most commonly seen one, Herald of Zakarum, aka Hawes. This is probably your safest, reasonably affordable pick for a paladin shield, with plenty of plus skills, block bumps, stats, attack rating, and resist. It's just a great all-rounder of a shield, whether you're playing a zealot or a hammered in or anything in between. There are better picks for almost every specialist build, but like with Jalal's Mane and Ariat's Face for helmets, this is just a safe pick if you're ever unsure as to what to use. The other paladin-specific shield here is Exile, usually made with an ethereal base thanks to the auto repair on this rune word. It works well in either a resist paladin shield or a damage paladin shield depending on the rest of your gear, and is the premier smiter shield in the game thanks to its chance to cast life tap on striking, which lets you refill your life even with smite. The other mods it provides are quite solid too, with Defiance, Target Freezing, Max Resist Bumps, Magic Find, and plus skills. There's not much that can beat this for a melee paladin of any flavor. Over on the Necromancer side, we have our general use, Homunculus, which is much in the same boat as Herald of Zakarum in that it's just a safe pick for a Necromancer, with plus skills, blocking, stats, resists, and mana per kill. While it lacks faster cast, very few Necromancer builds are really desperate for it in their shield, or if they are, they use Spirit, which we'll cover later. The other unique shields kind of offer good bonuses as well. This one is just the most reliable and safe to pick for general use, and will usually beat them out. Though the one set item that sneaks into the top list is actually one of Homunculus's competitors, Trangle's Wing. It offers better stats, still gives blocking, has less resist, and it only bumps poison and bone, but when combined with 2 other parts of the set, it provides a 25% poison resistance piercing, making this extremely effective on poison necromancers. And there's also a nice thing where when using the full set that you're in vampire form, because of having the full set, running and walking speeds are identical. So if you want to maintain block, you can walk without losing any speed, and you still get to keep your full defense and blocking, making this great for hardcore farming with the right gear setup. Moving to more general use, we have caster shields, starting with the most obvious, Spirit. This is the go-to shield, and in paladin shields you can get it up and running with super low requirements. Though the rest of the classes, the Monarch is the lightest shield you can do this in, meaning 156 strength or bust. It comes with a lot of great mods, from resist to stats to faster cast and plus skills, not to mention decent hit recovery. It's just an extremely reliable caster shield. Though if you do not want to invest that amount of strength, the next pick, beyond some of our later niche shields, is Lidless Wall, with plus all skills, faster cast, and some varied mana perks. It isn't as comprehensive as Spirit, but it can have a perfect diamond or an rune slapped in for some resist, and can be a quite solid option for 1/3 of the strength requirement of a normal Monarch Spirit. Down into the melee shields, we have the more well-known Storm Shield with block boost, damage reduction, lightning resist, strength, and a few other mods. It may not be as popular now as it used to be, but it is still a solid selection, and being a unique, you can still slap a socket in it despite it being indestructible. And no, I have no idea how Larzik does that, but this can let you get more resists or other mods that you might find useful on it. The other combat shield is Phoenix, a shield that used to evoke mixed emotions due to its chance to cast Firestorm, interrupting a number of attack sequences, making it a little frustrating on certain builds. With that gone, we can see why people would still often struggle through that in spite of this interruption. With a redemption aura to let you use corpses as mobile rejuvenation potions, a massive boost to enhance damage that is applied at the same time as auras, not to mention some resist perks, and if you're playing something like an enchantress or alongside one, it gives you a nice pierce to fire resist. This fact also makes it really solid for fire sources and druids as well, just as a caster shield. Whether melee or not, you can use it with Fireclaw or with Firestorm. From there, we get into more specialist shields, starting with Dream, the Tesladin shield, or the Tesla Source shield. It packs the Holy Shock most people know this rune word for, as well as the Confuse cast, but is also just good thanks to all the other perks it provides, from Resist to Life to Magic Find to Hit Recovery. Alone, these stats are just good, but when combined with the rest of that stuff, they can be amazing. After that, I am putting a Rhyme in here. Yes, a dirt cheap Rhyme. Probably one of the most underrated shields here, and one of the original rune words. It packs resistances, cannot be frozen, block boost, magic find. If you don't need faster cast, the shield can do wonders for so many builds and is often overlooked as an easy and strong source of cannot be frozen. Pack it into an elite paladin shield with okay mods and you actually have a great tool for a budget smiter kit, for example. Moving up, we have Moser's Blessed Circle. Block boost, resists, and 2 sockets. Plain, simple, and effective. Usually used to create massive resist shields for a variety of characters, it is a solid, reliable shield all around and can be paired with more than just resist in the sockets if you want, though that is the most common use. The reason for that being our last 2 entries on the list, starting with Headhunter's Glory, which has a variable number of sockets, some resist, life per kill, and pretty good defense. If you can get a 3-socket one, you actually have a really great shield for a number of builds, depending on what jewels you can put in it. One of the most popular being Rainbow Facets for a Javazon, but it can be a great tool on a wide variety of builds. Though most enhanced damage focus users will go for Phoenix, so you'll usually see this on lightning builds and rarely some cold builds, with their facets to break down resistances extremely effectively with solid side mods. The other entry like this one is the Jeweler's Shield. For example, here we have a Paladin shield, but the most desirable one is Jeweler's Monarch, usually of Deflecting. These magic shields are socketed with powerful jewels for specialist builds, and with deflecting suffix you can actually get massive blocking potential on them. Other mods are nice too, but are far less desirable because you usually see these snatched up by PvP players who are going for true min-maxing. They are a bit of overkill for PvM usually, especially for the price they demand on trading markets. As far as rares, they're sadly usually not too desirable out of leveling up, for example, since they're capped at 2 sockets and the mods they can get rarely compete with uniques. The only rare shields I've found a GG version of would be Necro Heads, though it is feasible to at least get something competitive with uniques for Paladin shields. It's nowhere near the gap you can get with the heads like we did with our Poison Necro Head, mostly because of 2 reasons. Their special mods can come from jewels in other shields or even in other pieces of equipment, and they're very rarely picked up because of the small gap that you could get with it, meaning they're hard to find for trade with GG stats. Overall, there are a lot of great shields, even stuff not mentioned here like Medusa's head, so what would you throw in here as your honorable mention? Do you have a soft spot for Pelta Lunata, or miss the old Viscera Tuant? Mention them down below, and as always, a special thanks to the channel patrons, members, and regular viewers, and keep gaming, have fun, and peace out. This has been Alzorath. Bye.